Welcome to New Mexico Black Rifle Operators Union, broadcasting live from behind the blue wall in New Mexico. I'm your host, Sean. Today, I wasn't going to do a Monday podcast today, and then I woke up and looked at the news, which is probably a bad plan if you're trying to take a day off. But this is kind of really important, especially for the 2A community. There is, in the omnibus bill, and the bill that successively followed in the Senate, there are 12 measures to fight gun control. Or not to fight gun control, to pass gun control. The first one is they've added 14.1% ATF budget increase to facilitate Biden's pistol ban brace. 40 million, approximately 40 million American citizens who have done nothing wrong but bought an accessory are now going to be felons if the federal government has their way to do anything, has their way. 50% increase of ATF's NTC budget to maintain the illegal near billion record gun registry. You heard that right, folks. It is in law that the federal government cannot own a gun registry, yet the ATF has one, and it's been documented by many people, as well as many gun owners, or gun stores, and gun FFL guys and ladies. They have been letting us know that the federal government is, in fact, registering our guns. No time in history has a gun registry ever been a good plan. Look at Nazi Germany, look at China. Usually, gun registry leads to gun confiscation. Okay. 3, 700 plus million in funding available to bribe states to pass red flag gun confiscation laws. So, as I am in New Mexico, in northwest New Mexico, we have a red flag law here. It is almost not exclusively not used and has affected no crime at all. Instead, in crime enforcement. And instead, what has actually happened is our crime rates have went up. This is a vain attempt to go after guns, people that they deem worrisome, usually reported by an ex-lover, a jilted person, someone like that, to get gun owners in trouble and to get them their guns confiscated, get them in the system. Directing VA medical centers to utilize confiscation orders on vulnerable veterans. That's right. Number 4 on this list. And this list, by the way, is from the Truth About Guns. Gun Owners of America. Even better. Both places are exceptionally awesome for 2A stuff. But both of them put out like a brief that I try to use so I can let my listeners and my new audience as we build see what's going on. So, what does that mean? They're trying to basically get people with PTSD and American citizens who served our country. They're trying to take away their rights rather than help them. To me, this is akin to what Canada is doing right now. Canada is basically fast-tracking vulnerable people like veterans who've served in wars, who have seen some things, to death. Assisted suicide in Canada is a big thing now. Department of Education. Again, having worked for the Department of Education in the state of New Mexico in a roundabout way, this doesn't surprise me. They want the safe storage for parents' firearms. Okay, now, if you're a 2A guy or a lady, you already have safe storage, I bet, except for your concealed carry or maybe for a nightstand gun. I understand what they're saying. And basically what they're saying is they're wanting what we as 2A advocates should be advocating for. I'm not advocating for this gun control that they're pushing. What I am advocating for is safe storage. Don't be a dumbass. Don't leave shit out so kids can get to it. Don't leave vulnerable people around things that could make vulnerable people make a permanent decision that everyone associated with them will regret forever. funding to the VA to maintain gun storage maps to keep tabs on where veterans keep guns. Again, this seems like it's unjustly pointed at Americans' veterans who have done nothing but protected the United States. But what do you expect from the current regime or any regime? Because, well, the American government's going to government. Newly annual compensation for families of deceased ATF agents be an indication of upcoming gun confiscation. Okay, if they do compensate gun ATF agents, I understand that. If they did their job, we try to compensate cops, I believe. However, what this sounds like is like they're gearing up for a confiscation, which means that they're going to have heavy attrition, at least I hope. The idea here is that an ATF agent is going to come knocking at your door, and there's going to be some people like me that will probably try to stop them and die in the process, but killing some of them in the process. Now, I'm not advocating for you to do anything or follow that example at all, but that's what's going to happen, because there are enough people, dyed-in-the-wool American people, that will not give up their Second Amendment and have done nothing wrong. And if they are perceived that the government is perceived, like I'm beginning to see, as a hostile entity, they will be acted upon accordingly by American citizens. That's what the Founding Fathers intended. Shall not be infringed is there for a reason. Gun control earmarks for Orchid Healing Circles. Now, I don't know what the hell an Orchid Healing Circle is, and I probably should have done more research on that because this is 8th on the list. Because it's 8th on the list, I was like, we'll keep going. Dickey violations galore while CDC suppresses self-defense statistics. Yes, if you haven't heard, the CDC has taken self-defense statistics off of gun violence or gun use statistics. So it naturally slides American public, the American public that is, against gun owners. Program discouraging women from exercising their Second Amendment rights. This is the stupidest one I see. And I mean, they're all stupid, but this is monumentally stupid. If there was one piece of equipment that would take, I don't know, a 5-foot tall, 90-pound lady and put her on the same grounds as me, a 5'11", 280-pound guy, the Second Amendment does that in spades, and that's what has always been the case. They've said that God created man, Sam Colt made them equal. Well, that's the truth. So why would we try to take some people who are perceived as targets by a lot of, shithead guys, and make them vulnerable? To me, it makes no sense because this is the one tool that could fix this problem with trafficking and with rapes and with batteries and all kinds of other things that happen to women because they're kind of passive. This would allow them to outright fight their way into their normal life. Anti-gun violence intervention initiatives. So, you've seen the commercials, more of those types of things. Violent anti-government ideology and domestic radicalization research. This is domestic terror. They're going after people that, like I just did, make some assertions. Now, my assertions are, don't ever go after violence. Don't use violence. That's the stupidest thing you can ever do. However, there is going to come a point in time, I believe, especially with gun acts like this pushed out, that we're going to have to draw a hard line in the sand. And the best way that this could go down is something like Bundy Ranch. If you're not familiar with Bundy Ranch, the federal government went in and said that the Bundys couldn't have their ranch, which had been generational for years, and went to go confiscate the land because it was federal leased land. And what they did there is the Bundys sent out a call, and a lot of 2A advocates showed up there and basically had a standoff with the federal government and won. So much so that they ended up killing one of the Bundys, I believe, or shooting him while they tried to entrap him. Now, that's the best case scenario. And what I mean by that is, imagine the ATF goes someplace to confiscate guns and 300 peaceful protesters are there. Now, in New Mexico, you can open carry, and the governor thinks that's an open threat. In this case, maybe it is. Maybe it's enough to say, hey, you've got 10 guys. There are 300 American citizens with firearms here. Maybe you shouldn't do this. That is the idea. If we want to curtail violence, especially against our own people, from the people who are sworn to protect us, maybe they need to have some teeth. And that's where I'm going with this. It is beyond time that people from the right and the libertarian sect, like myself, pretty much have given up on the rest of you all. It's time you stand up, grow a backbone, and quit voting in people like Mitch McConnell, the Turtle Man himself, as he sacrifices everything else. In this gun bill that just passed the Senate, there are 15 or 18, I forget which one, Republicans that turned coat to vote with it. Now, I have long since thought that the Republican and Democrat Party are one and the same. Now, everybody else is seeing it. So, I'm advocating for you to do you. Free men don't ask permission. And I'm saying that if we make this right, as ubiquitous as it should be, the federal government won't have a choice but to let it slide. I hope that we never get to that violent stack. But if we do, I hope we win. And when I say that, the American people. Violence begets violence, and nothing violent ever solves things finally. There's lots of other things that happen. Now, I say that the same time I think of something that's very true. With, there's a saying from Starship Troopers. It said, raw, naked violence has solved more problems than any other thing in the world. That is true, but at the expense of a lot of people and a lot of other things. So let's not get to that point. I hope you enjoyed your holidays, your Christmas. I hope you got something cool under the tree from the 2A Santa fairies, and that you got to get some range time. I'll probably get some range time later today. Like, share, subscribe, be great.